Hello everyone, my name is Lee, welcome to my channel. So today is really exciting. I've actually now set up a website to possibly sell some of these guitars just to keep the hobby going. I need a small income and hopefully some people can get enjoyment out of them. So the reason it's so exciting is I'm starting a new series of videos. I'm building what is in effect Lee's guitar number one. So the past couple of series of videos you've seen, I've created my own design that I'm really happy with. So it's going to be a double humbucker design with a tremolo. And I'm happy with the shape and everything's lined up, and I've taken different measurements. I've recreated the template as well, and everything's looking good. So I've got all of my dimensions now and everything should work perfectly. So the previous two prototypes I'm really happy with. They both work, but they're slightly different, so I made some modifications for the second one. So now it's time just to get on and start building. So what I've already done is I've already transferred this over to my single piece of sapele. So I like to use a wood called sapele for the body. It's very similar to mahogany. I do like the pattern on this. This is a nice piece. I can't see any issues with it. And I don't know if you can see that, but I've already drawn the major dimensions and shape onto it. So the very first job I need to do with this is just to immediately jump in and start routing out the different cavities on there. So we'll start with the neck cavity, we'll then do the two humbuckers, and finally we'll do the bridge. So I've got all of my templates here that I use. So it's just a matter of now sticking these onto the guitar, getting my router and routing out the cavities. So without further ado, let's get on and do that. And I'll take you through this every step of the way so you can see how I build my guitars. And hopefully at the end of this series, I'll have an almost perfect, beautiful guitar that hopefully I can put on sale to make some of the money back to then start the next one. So let's carry on and get started with this. So as you can see, I've already drawn the outline using my final template. So the first cuts I need to do, and this being one of the most important ones, the neck pocket. So the way I've done the dimensions to get the scale length right for the bridge pins and the 25-inch scale length I use, I just want to make sure the neck pocket is perfect because I know where the 24th fret is on the neck and how much more overhang there is to fit into this pocket. So I know that this dimension is correct. So I need to make sure this neck pocket is put in exactly the right place, and then obviously also the bridge as well. So I've already stuck this down. I've also put some spare scrap wood underneath this because when I go to cut the bridge socket, I need to go all the way through. And the issue is going all the way through is the router can chip the underside of the guitar body when it comes through the wood. So if you just put a piece of scrap flush against the bottom, it stops it from chipping away. So this is already set up. To stick the template on, I actually use double-sided tape, as you can see here, and that's more than strong enough to hold this against the body. So all that's left to do is I've already set the router depth up. I need to route this socket. It has to be around 18 to 19 millimeters deep. The piece of maple I use for the neck is actually 20 millimeters. So I want the pocket to be around 18 to 19 millimeters, just so when you put the neck in, there's a small piece of the maple, about a millimeter's worth, sticking up above the height of the pocket itself. So that's all said and done. Let's get the router on and we'll route this first piece out. Okay, so that's the neck pocket done. Just to quickly measure, just to make sure, I've put the ruler in there, and it looks to be exactly 19 millimeters. So I'm really pleased with that. It looks nice and smooth. There's no issues in that pocket. The router bit has worked correctly. So that's really good. That's the first cut done. So the next thing I'll do is I'll move on and do the two pickups. So I've now swapped over to the humbucker cavity. I've already lined it up and stuck it down again. So with the humbucker cavity, I want to do the depth about the same as the neck pocket, so sort of around 18 to 19 millimeters. Now the reason I don't go to the full depth, I think that the normal depth is a bit deeper than that. I think it's about 21 millimeters, but that's because, especially on the bridge pickup, because I have the cavity underneath for the tremolo, it means I only have a small piece of material in the middle to play with this pickup. And because I don't use pickup surrounds, I actually screw the pickups with a spring underneath directly into the body. It means I can only put that screw in up to about 6 or 7 millimeters, because I'll have about 8 or 9 millimeters to play with. So the idea is, let's say this body, I think it's about 46, or let's say 45 millimeters deep. Now, if this pickup cavity is 19 millimeters and the spring cavity behind for the tremolo is 16 millimeters, that means I'm on 35 millimeters. And with a total thickness of 45 millimeters, that means I'll have just 10 millimeters of depth. So when I screw the screws in, to make sure they don't go through the cavity, which might be slightly bigger than the pickup pocket itself, I just want to make sure that I've got enough room to put the screws in and put some thread in to screw the pickup into the body. So I hope that makes sense. It gives me at least half a centimetre, 5 mil of screw clearance, and that gives me enough room to raise the pickup slightly and keep it nice and firm inside the body. So there's a lot of explanation. I hope all of that makes sense. So all I need to do now is just route these pickups, and I'll use exactly the same depth as I used for the neck pocket. Okay, so the last one, the bridge. So this is where I actually need to go all the way through the body. So I've made sure and double checked that I've clamped another piece of wood underneath, so it's flush against that. So when the router bit breaks through, it doesn't chip the other side of the wood. So this is all centered, it's stuck on nicely, it's all looking good. All the measurements should be correct, so this should be the final main pocket, at least on this side, and then I'll flip the guitar over and we'll finish the back pocket as well. So let's get on and cut this now. So I'm deep enough now I can actually remove this because the bearing on the router bit will be able to follow the hole I've already created. So now I can just carry on without the template. It just makes it a little more stable. So let's carry on and do that. So hopefully you can see that's gone all the way through nicely, and you can see the spare wood at the bottom. The cut looks to be really neat, but let's take this apart and take a closer look, and then we'll route out the tremolo and spring cavity on the back. So the router bit went through really nicely, everything's nice and clean. So I've put the rear pocket template on there. Now, obviously with this one, what's important is you're actually, the hole on the back, the pocket, is actually slightly bigger than the front, so where the tremolo sort of pivots. So I need to cut this piece all the way down, but I need to go down and leave about 5 mm before I break through on the other side. So there's a little lip there. So that's the main dimension. The rest of this is 16 mm deep. So I've set the router up now for 16 mm. Let's cut this piece out and then we'll work our way down, leaving 5 mm lip near the bottom, which is actually the top of the guitar. So let's do that. So you can see the lip there. All I have to do now is just take that down and leave 5 mm from the bottom. The actual spring pocket looks really good. It's nice and sharp. Everything's nice. So I'll just carry on and finish this off. So as you can see, that sort of main part of the routing's been done. Also on the back. So I'm really pleased with this so far. It's looking good. Off camera, because I forgot to hit the record button, apologies. I've already put the holes in for the pins for the bridge to go on. But the next thing I need to do is actually drill all the way through where the control knobs go. So the reason I drill through from this side is then I've got the marks on the back, which means I can then place my template to draw out, to cut out the cavity for the electronics. So that's the reason I do that, because then I can keep everything measured and looking correct. So the next job is just to drill through for the 3 knobs that I have on there. So it's a push, pull, volume and 2 tones. So let's do that now. So as you can see, I'm just making sure I've got the correct marks there before I drill through. So I need to drill through, it's actually 10 mm. The screw thread on the knobs as they push through from the back, they're about 9.5 mm. Obviously they're imperial originally, so I'll just use a 10 mm drill bit for these. But I just want to make sure everything's lined up and it looks good. And then I'll just make some marks right in the center of these holes, just so I know exactly where I need to drill through. So this is lined up okay. It's looking pretty good. Just to double check as well, I just want to make sure I've got enough room for the volume knob. It's not interfering with the pickup. And it's not, it's looking pretty good. So that should be fine. So I'll just make some marks in the center there to start the drill, and then we'll go. Yeah, they're very good. So now I can get my other routing template for the electronics pocket. I'll stick that on the back and I can cut that out. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that actually. I might cut the shape of the guitar out first before I do that, just so I can gauge the amount of room that I need for the pocket without getting too close to this edge. So maybe the next thing I'm going to do now is actually cut the shape of the body out and start sanding the shape. So let's do that now. So as you can see, I've cut the body shape out now. Looking really good. The wood's nice. There's no odd, weird, hidden cracks or anything in it. It's all looking really good. So of course, now I've got the shape cut out, I can do the final piece of routing at the back. So there's a couple of things. Obviously, I need to cut the electronics cavity, which I wanted to cut the body first just so I can line up the cavity correctly to the edge. But also, part of my design is I actually do a small cutaway here just to make it easier to reach the 24th fret. So I'm also going to do a small cutaway just around the neck, just there, and hopefully that will be all of the body routing done, and then I can finish the body. I can use finer and finer grit sandpaper and finally just finish it with an oil. So let's get on and finish this routing. So the template's on, it's all looking good, it's stuck down already, so let's get this cut out. So the final piece of routing is just a small 5mm depth cutaway around the neck. The reason I do that is just to make it easier to try and reach the 24th fret. It's just a little bit thinner. And of course it adds a unique feature to my design, which is quite important because a lot of guitars do look very similar. So final piece, it's clamped down, everything's nice and firm. So let's get this 5mm depth routed out there. So there we have it. That's the major work done on the body. I'm really pleased with how this is looking. It's going really well so far. So as you can see, I've routed out all of the major pockets on the front and on the back. Everything's looking good there. I've also done my small cutaway, which is a feature I like to use on my guitar bodies to try and differentiate them slightly. But everything so far is looking really good. Now, there's still a lot of finishing to do on this, and there's some other pieces I need to do. For example, I need to cut out the slot for the switch. But so far, really happy. So what I'll do is I'll close this video here. Join me next time when I try and finish this body off, including all the last tiny pieces of prep, the sanding, and also the oiling. And hopefully by the end of next video, we should have a completed body. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.